It's been a while. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Canary Room. You can see we're back in the room today for today's show, and we're going to be back in the room now for the foreseeable future. We will get back on the road, but probably not until after the breeding season now. So coming up today, well, we'll catch up with the Fifes, we'll catch up with the Native Diaries. You might be able to tell I've lost a little bit more hair since last time we were here. We've got the Norwich Notebook as well, new colour corner, highs and lows, as always, in the Canary Room to catch up with. Some unintended departures, unfortunately, and some new arrivals. So, as always, everyone, grab yourself a cuppa. Got mine this time. Sit back and enjoy the show. Well, it's been a really busy couple of months since we were last in the Canary Room. Obviously, the on-the-road trips that we've done with Keith, with Pete Harrison, and with Simon Meredith. Feedback to those shows has been incredible. I rarely watch the shows that I do again, and I've watched all of them at least 3 times. So. Really enjoyed it, and my thanks to Pete, to Simon, and of course to Keith. We will be back at Keith's and back at Simon's, and hopefully back at Pete's as well later on in the year. We have got more on the roads planned, but as I mentioned in the introduction, they won't be now until after the breeding season. One of those is likely to take us to a trip to go and see a budgie man, a chap called Sam Wilds, and Sam, DTV. Oh, wrecking the place. Sam, DTV, Plastic and Aluminium, and Sam One Bird Products. And I met Sam first off at Stafford, and Sam has very kindly sent some stuff through. Mentioned last time we were here that the start wasn't perhaps what I wanted, and Sam's sent through some products that he uses and that he makes. That he uses with his budgies, but they're for canaries and finches as well. So appreciate that, mate. Really do. I've started using some of them now, and things have picked up. So hopefully that's a sign of things to come. The other thing really with Sam is the flights. Now I've put a little clip of this video up on our Facebook page. Absolutely made up with the flights. They will be put in place very quickly over May, probably by the end of May. They'll be in. I've got some stuff to do with the garage, but the idea with the flights is they will operate as they'll link the outside flight and an inside flight essentially, and also there'll be a place to store young along with some of the wire cages. So idea really is lots of the birds that need colour feeding I can molt out in the second room, so I'm not bringing in colour food to the Fifes. So indebted to Sam, and while we're chatting about people, a little shout out to Mike Burling. Mike took his beautiful daughter Indy up to see his dad and his mum. So Jeff's Mike's dad, Borderman, and really it was lovely to see. Mike put some pictures up, and we see a couple of them here. And he caught up with his nephew Luca, who has had some real success winning Best Junior on the show bench. So might be the other side of the world, Luca, but well done, mate. Congratulations. Hopefully it'll be the first of many. And we've got lots of new bird keepers coming in to the hobby, which is certainly what this channel's all about. So, lots of new bird keepers, lots of new birds. When you were here last, I think we had 1 chick out. We've got close on to 40 Fifes now at varying different stages and ages. So if we have a look in the nursery cages, we can see that there's 12 or so Fifes away. There's red, black, grey wing away as well. We've got Fifes at various different stages and ages in the nests. We've also got Norwich at various different stages and ages in the nest, and we've got some grey wings as well. So from the sort of canary side of things, solid start, and I think I'm minded really. I think it's very easy perhaps it's a condition of life. It's to focus on the things that aren't going right, rather than the things that are. So there's a lot that is going right in the canary room this year. We've got a relatively low mortality rate of the chicks, which is encouraging. And we've got an okay hatch rate now. Now, I have moved stuff around. I have fostered chicks into different nests, not just with the Fifes, or rather not just with the Norwich, but with the Fifes as well. There are trials and tribulations. As I sit here today, and we're early May, we've got a number of hens who yet to lay. So probably half a dozen hens, Fifes. All of the Norwich hens have laid, interestingly, but Fifes that are just for one reason or another not interested in laying. Now, some it might be a maturity issue, certainly one or two I think it is. Some it could be a condition issue. So, we've conditioned the birds the same. Obviously not every bird takes that. So I think numbers-wise we're round about where I'd like to be. Certainly I anticipate, if things carry on as they are, having a really, really strong season with the Fifes and hopefully with the other birds as well. But not everything has gone to plan, I think. But it would be easy to focus on the things that perhaps haven't gone to plan as opposed to the things that have. So this week we've got, first week in May, we've got 5 nests of Fifes, with the occasional Norwich egg in there as well, due out. So a solid start, I think, to the season that we've got here. And well, first up, let's check in with those pairs in focus, shall we? So if you recall, our Fife pairs in focus have been okay, not a bad start through them. So in here we've got a cinnamon buff hen and what we believe is a cinnamon carrier cock. Now they hatched 2. I was hand feeding one or topping one up with hand food. It didn't make it. It got to about 5 days or so, and it just didn't make it. And often what you'll find is that the canaries themselves know that they can determine the viability of chicks because they can sense certain things. So I tried to do my best with it, but it got to a stage where it just wasn't working. Might be able to see. It might just be my shoulder might be in the way, but the cock is feeding the hen on the nest at the moment. So that pair had a second round of eggs. I set those and not quite sure what happened. And I've had a couple, certainly one of the red black grey wings, had a couple of hens who have eaten eggs. And no indication that these had eaten them, but there was a couple of cracked eggs. So not quite sure what had gone on in there. They did hatch a single chick second round, which I've moved. I've moved that to our trio of clears underneath. And she's just laid her 4th egg today. So looking at that egg, it's a bluey colour, which would indicate that it's the last egg of the clutch. So I'll set that. Our trio is a real interesting dynamic. You can see that we've got in here, we've got 6 chicks. Now there is only the second clear yellow hen who decided to nest on the floor. So I put a pan ceramic pot really to prevent it from sort of flipping all over the place. So she is got in the nest, she's got 3 chicks. She's actually got 4 because one of the other smaller chicks from the other nest has sort of jumped out and taken up residency in there. She's feeding it fine. So it's an interesting dynamic, this, because there's 2 hens and there's a buff cock in there, and they're sort of feeding each other's chicks. So it is fascinating. As I say, I think she's got a couple of chicks in there that are from another nest. There's a couple of darks in there as well, and she's got one from the cinnamon nest, which is a variegated. So she seems to be feeding them okay, touch wood. The other nest was 2 Fifes and a Norwich. They seem to be being fed okay, touch wood. Our other pairs in focus, well, the our pair of red poles that we were focusing on, she's laid an awful lot of eggs, absolutely no indication of sitting them, no intention of sitting them. She's on another clutch at the moment now. There's plenty of cover over there. I thought that might be the issue. She's an immature bird. She's last year's bird, so we're just going to wait and see how she gets on. Our bullies, well, our bullies have caused nothing but heartache this year. More on that later, but the pair in focus bullies did have 4 eggs, and they hatched them. I don't know whether it was the cock or the hen, but they've annihilated the young. I've got a divide, we'll have a look at that in a minute. I've got a divide between them, which I've just pulled back because I put it in and the hen moved off the nest. So just be careful with those at the moment to see how we get on. So that's our pairs in focus. When it comes to the greens, the green fifes, which was another trio, that hen has got 2 young in the nest, and they're looking good. And the other hen, who laid a single egg to start with, she's now got a clutch of eggs which are due out over the next couple of days. So fingers crossed, they all look full. So we'll see if there's a pink eye amongst them, hey. So that's our pairs in focus. I've talked about some of the heartache. Let's go on to the native diaries. Well, we know with the native finches that, you know, they are notoriously challenging, I think is the word that we look for with them. So let's take a look around. Well, let's start with a positive. Delighted first and foremost. A massive thanks to my good mate Alan Hoary. Managed to bring in a very, very nice cock. Alan showed this bird at Lancashire. I think it won its class there. So really nice Goldie cock to go with the hen that I had, which, you know, delighted with. So pair of Goldies in there, got a little bit of live food, and massive thanks to Shane at Direct Bird Products for that. Shane is now stocking Top Insect, so I've got my pinkies from Shane and some live food as well. So I've got a couple of birds in there. They are coming into condition nicely. They're sort of swaying to each other a little bit, the birds. No obvious nesting indication yet, but, you know, we'll keep everything crossed. When I was with Al, I managed to pick up another pair of Goldies, and as you can see from these shots here, these Goldies are out in the flight. So I'm absolutely, you know, delighted. The cockbird here is actually split for pea throat, so we'll see, maybe something interesting come out of that. But this is a pair, and we've got just some nice footage. So the flight has got some old Christmas tree in, it's got 3 separate nesting sites in there. I am going to leave them pretty much to it. So my intention is to just leave them well alone. You know, if I see that they've got young, then I may go in. I might not, to be honest, and I'll just keep them here in the canary room. Obviously, that will prevent me from showing them, but if these have young, I'll be able to ring these birds. As I say, just a thought to catch up on that. Then we've got the linnets. Now, I've got quite a lot of fir tree in the linnets. I've given them a load of natural cover. They've been in and out of the nest pan. They've got 3 nest sites in there again. There's one sort of tucked on the floor at the back. There's one just on the front of the side, and then there's an enclosed one. The one enclosed one here, they've absolutely no interest in. The others, they've sort of in and out of. So early May, you know, we may not. We'll see how we get on with them. Bullfinches have been, well, the good news, I guess, is that of all 3 pairs of bullfinches, I've had full eggs. So that's the good news. The bad news is I've got no chicks. So cage 43 and 44, we can have a look here. There is a young chick in here. Now I had, it looks like it's hatched in the last day. I've got all the soft food and everything else in there. Something, whether it's the cock or the hen, has turfed two out, and I've had to remove their bodies. Whether or not I divided her off, the hen has been in and off and on the nest. She should be absolutely glued to the nest. So don't know if it's the cock, don't know if it's the hen. Only hope is that we can save this chick, and there's another egg to hatch. So hopefully, and it's more hope than anything else, we'll get something there. There aren't really any canaries rearing of a similar age, otherwise I'd just take my chances and bob the chicks under there and probably top them up for the first couple of days. But there aren't any canaries who are that young, who are of a smaller size. So there will be hopefully tomorrow. So if it lasts the night, I might look at moving it. Similar story with our pairs in focus pair, really. They are first round, and that's an over-year cockbird. And last year, he reared for me. He was a really good cockbird last year, although the final round there was a bit of an issue with. So just don't know. And then the third hen, who, as I speak to camera here, is scratching out and building up again. She's an egg eater. Brilliant. So I rarely take the eggs away from the bullies. I like to leave them as they're flighty as hell, so I like to leave them as undisturbed as possible. So I've left her, and I noticed that an egg was laid, and then it had gone, and then it was smashed. It was a couple of eggs, and then so I singled her off while she was laying, so the cock didn't get into the nest, and the same thing happened. So it's the hen doing it. I managed to save two, so I will set them under something else. Managed to save 2 eggs from her. So we'll see. And as for the red poles, well, the red poles are doing what red poles do really well, frustrating the living bejesus out of me. I've had eggs off 2 of the pairs. They are picking up. They're a little bit interested. Now I've got some live food in. I've been giving them egg food. I've got some live food, so hopefully that will just kick them on. Still really early for the native birds, to be honest. So, our season with heartache with the natives continues. But you didn't expect anything else, did you? Speaking of heartache, let's move from the natives to the Norwich. I think for me, one of the sort of most important traits of a bird keeper, and there's perhaps more than one, resilience absolutely necessary. It can be absolutely heartbreaking, the work that you put in over a period of time, and when things don't quite work out, and you can blame the birds, but ultimately it's the management of the birds. And so we sort of scrutinise what we've done, we look at what we can do slightly differently. And another thing that's a real requirement is pragmatism. I put together 7 pairs of Norwich for the season, indebted to Jones and Roberts, indebted to Keith. So I've got 7, strong pairs of birds. Certainly, if we can get young from them, absolutely should really kick the stud on. As always, there's heartache when there's livestock, and one of the challenges had been a really nice clear yellow cock that I got in last year. I've still got 2 sons up here from it. That bird had just gone off colour. The hen had laid, all the Norwich hens have laid, in fact, so that's the first thing. I've got them all laying, which is good. And in the majority of cases, I've got full eggs off them all, which is also good. So 2 positivities there, and it's very much important to focus on those. This cockbird, I did give him a little bit of medication, but he'd just gone down. He'd gone down, and I couldn't bring him back. I came in one morning, and he was dead on the floor. So I have there's 2 buff hens that I got off Keith and unflighted and are flighted, and then there's a 2-year-old yellow cock, which was one of our pairs in focus birds, which is I think a really, really good example of a Norwich. he's a wonderful bird, and he fills eggs. So he's got a hen here down in cage 61, and if you can see that, and then another hen underneath and he's mated with both hens. So I'm waiting for this second hen to lay still. She's an over-year bird, but the hen above has laid. And actually, if we can have a look here, one of the things that I have done is, just behind me actually, there's a fawn hen and a cinnamon carrying buff cock. Now there's two sisters, there's a blue and there's a fawn that were bred out of our fawn hen last year in the Fifes. Both very nice birds, really nice birds, and the mother was a stunning bird. Both relatively late bred, neither has laid yet. What I've done is they've both been mated and they both built nests. So what I've done, and I've done this with a couple of birds in the canary room, is I put eggs underneath them. And in this instance, I put 3 eggs underneath them. They hatched yesterday, and you can see there's some size on these birds already. They are 3 Norwich, and they are from cage 61 and 62. So they're from the unflighted buff hen and the flighted buff cock. We've got, at the moment, 7 young Norwich in the canary room, 3 of which are of an age where I've rung them. 1 is almost there. We have had others hatch, but feeders in this instance have let me down. And then we had one of the white hens under one of the grey wings, and I came in one morning and all bar one of the eggs was smashed up. So I'm not quite sure. That pair of grey wings has reared for me. They've reared a grey wing and a fife. So it was the second round. I'm not quite sure what's happened there. So anyway, with the Norwich, then there's 4 eggs from the white that are set, that look full. There's eggs from the variegated white that are set, and I've dotted them around, trying to sort of spread the risk really. They look full. I've got 2 other birds here in cage 60 and 66. 60 has actually sat on her own eggs, and 66 has only laid 1, but I'm just going to let her sit this cycle, and I'll take her away. I don't want to overstress the birds. And then here in cage 73, again, she sat on some of her own eggs as well. So, so far with the Norwich, as I say, 7 young, I think, at various different ages. There had been a couple more that we'd lost. I'd got a hen who I was topping them up, and she just, this hen has got a young, and it's just jumped the nest, but she doesn't look in 100% shape, so she won't have the honour of rearing Norwich in another round. And the grey wings, which I was relying on, they've been a little bit unreliable, I guess, first round, although hopefully I've got a nest now of young here, and the hen, got the old hen, the red ring hen, on the number of eggs. So there's our Norwich notebook. Steady but not spectacular, and I'm all right with that. I'm all right with steady. I think if we can get into double figures, maybe mid-teens with the Norwich this year, average two a hen, I'll be very, very happy with that indeed. So, final part of the show coming up. It's the new colour corner. I think I am forever learning from other fanciers, and my trip to Simon Meredith was an education, a real education, and it was fascinating to hear all about the sort of all the aspects, I guess, of new colours, and it really stimulated an interest in me. The grey wings I now look at through a slightly different lens, as I did before, and now Simon off camera talked to me about what quality in grey wings looks like, and it looks like I've got some quality in here, and that will certainly be at the forefront of my mind in my selection and retention process next year. As I mentioned, it's a bit of a funny start with the grey wings this year, so We have got 1 grey wing young away. We've got another 4 just on the edge of the nest. And we've got the old hen now having not liked any of the nest sites, laid, not sat, now sat down on 5 eggs. So I'm just going to let her rear grey wings this year. I'm not going to put anything else under her. The other 2 I will try and use to help, rear Norwich and Fifes. So one of the things, 1 pair laid, absolutely no intention of sitting first time round. That was a bit frustrating. Second time round, they've got 4 lovely chicks, feathered up lovely, looking lovely. So, there's 5 young grey wings away. There's another nest there of 5 full eggs. So again, we'll get, really I want sort of 20 grey wings to select from for next year as well. And I think that's going to be, hopefully important. Last year we got a similar kind of number. Most of them were cocks, as you'll remember. So hopefully this year, fewer of them will be cock birds. So grey wings, okay. So that's our new colour corner. Couple of other things to say, really. The show, as many of you know, all of you know, is produced as a hobby. And there's... I mentioned at the beginning of last year, or at the end of last year really, about keeping more pairs because work was really busy. Work has been busy, and there's been 1 or 2 other things with the family which have made filming the Canary Room really difficult. I will continue to do my absolute best to get you episodes out on a fortnightly basis. I love putting the show together for you, and I love all of the feedback that I get online. I would always ask for your patience, please, particularly over the next few months. We've got a lot going on here, and as I say, I'm looking forward to getting and charting the highs and lows and lows and lows of the Canary Room with you. If you haven't subscribed to the channel as yet, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. Until next time, everyone, take care.